Yo, what's up? What's up? Yeah, what's up? How's everybody doing today? We are inspiring wellness. Yo, anyways, so yo, I'm just setting myself up here for a minute. I hope y'all can hear me. So I'm just chilling right now, vibing. It's been a long, long week. It's been a long week. I'm glad, man. We made it. We made it. We made it. You made it. Everybody made it. So I wanted to come up here on this platform, try something different, something new, because everybody has been, talking, asking for this, so
The acute treatment of migraine with or without aura in
I'm
adults.
just,
Nurtec OB.
I'm just chilling. But yeah, so today is Sunday, today is when? The 16th, yeah, so I'm just decided to do something called Wellness Sunday. So this is something I'm trying it out, so forgive me if the video is not okay or stuff is not okay. But we learn, like I always tell people, I'm learning technology as a millennial. But I created this space because I believe wellness is something we all need to build together. We heal through this connection, through growth, through experiences. Like everybody, man, you are out there, you have a lived experience, man. So whatever you're going through life, that's your lived experience. Disclaimer, this is my story. I want to just connect people and kind of be of service to people in the sense that if I told my story right now, like how people perceive it, that's up to you, but what can you learn from that? What can you relate with that? What can you experience from that? And this is the point where I created this space, because I feel like, social media nowadays is so good to connect people here and there. So that's when we are discovering our strengths. When you connect, when you network, that's when you heal together and you become together, When we are people willing to listen, holding those spaces and walking alongside us, man. Woo. But, I'm not here because I have everything figured out, man. I want to say that again. I'm not here because I'm here to bash you, judge you, or like I have everything figured out. I'm not sure about that. I don't even know if you're out there, if you have figured everything out. So I don't know. So I'm still learning. Every day I learn something new. It's a growth in me. Is that what I find is like I learn new stuff. I learn new stuff every day. So, but today I bring that new stuff, old stuff, past, present, and the future. I exist today, so that way I can grow and thrive for tomorrow, for me, for you, for the community, and stuff like that. Like I said, I've always told a little bit about my story, but it depends if I know you or you know me. I don't know, man. So I feel like people connect through stories and stuff like that. So that's how I look at it. Like, the way I look at it is like those experiences are not the end of my story. So a little bit of you know about me, a little bit of you don't know about me, a little bit of you have outgrown, some have outgrown me. So, it's all like how, whatever part or phase or stage in life that you met me or I meet you. But I always tell people I meet you where you are and meet me where I am at, And we don't have all these things figured out. So, like I always tell people, man, I'm a person in living with recovery. I hate those labels. So if you're out here, this thing becomes huge and you want to comment and everything, please. I always try to avoid those labels and all that, talk, because here we are here to use nice, respectful language, So feel free to pop by, say hi, comment. But for today, I have a word of the day. Everybody's saying resilience, but that's my word of the day. So how I look at it is in this sense. Being in control, being grounded, those experiences I've gone through, right? So how do I fit resilience into that? Like, I have to realize that my mindset is what I can control. I realize that, and then that's where the resilience comes from me. I don't know if I can explain it that way, but my goal is not to tell anyone how to live. My goal is to help people discover, you're going to discover whatever is already inside you, whatever possibilities is inside you, whatever positivity is inside you. That's what you need to discover from yourself. So having said that, I'm sorry, I wrote a few pointers because my story, I cannot be able to tell it like that, but I hope it inspires somebody. So, I want to ask everybody who shows up today or whoever sees this video, wherever you are watching from or in the future, hi my future viewers, whether you are watching it from space or wherever you will watch it from, if it comes across you, what is one word of the day that you think about that explains you at that situation? Would you be tired, hopeful, grateful, frustrated, anxious, motivated, curious, peaceful? What word would you consider yourself wherever you watch from, So having said that, and having talked about resilience, mine, I said it was resilience, right? Resilience for me is not pretending that life doesn't hurt me, or the circumstances or scenarios or people or systems, all the systematic changes and stuff, it doesn't hurt me. I don't pretend that it does, man. So, but I have to acknowledge that it has, and decide what happened to me doesn't have to decide or get to decide who I become in the future. So that's how I look at resilience when I talk about it, and a lot of people don't know what I talk about, but that's whatever has happened to me, it doesn't have to define who I am. So that's how I can inspire you today. All right, that's for me is inspiring, But I also look at, when I say those things, what am I talking about? You might be out there, I've been there, done that. I've been, like I was saying, I've had labels, people labeling me, the stigmas, the barriers, the cultural identities. It can be any negative mindsets, the relationships. Look at how we are living in these relationships and in this world. It's allowing those things. It's me not giving up, even if I get all that stuff, So, man, I need this technology. I'm learning technology as I'm learning, so bear with me. But I also have to realize a lot of people talk about resilience and healing and stuff like that, but I also have to realize that how do you grow with that? When you say healing, how do you thrive in that? People you can heal. Everybody is healing, right? But I also have to look at in the sense that when you heal, what are you becoming? I don't know if I make sense. I talk too fast. So if I'm healing right now, but I'm also looking at what I'm becoming, I cannot be healing all the time. I heal and heal and heal, but also I'm becoming and becoming. And what is life with living? How do you find that purpose? Purpose is the meaning. So you are growing through that healing, through all those lived experiences, and that's how you combine them for you to get that purpose. So yeah, I call my story surviving to becoming. There is so many chapters. So, but today I wanted to jump and just hop in here, try out this new platform, talk about those, I've had difficult chapters, first thing I always tell people, man, I've experienced incarceration, setbacks, moments where I had to confront those parts of myself, in my life. I wasn't proud of that, but it's how I went about it. I would be doing something, but behind the scenes, that self voice inside you that tells you, man, am I doing the moral thing right here? Yeah, there was days I'll be around people, but I know this thing I'm doing right now, this is not what I want to become, this is not what I want to be. But at the same time, I have this centralized in a sense that I'm doing wrong, but at the same time, because I consider that wrong, but now I look at it like I don't judge, But I look at that past, how did it teach me? It taught me how to control and look past. I look towards my past. Look at my past, right? In order for me to create the future. But I had to put in that whole of that stuff, lived experience, whatever you want to call it, the incarceration, dealing with mental health struggles, voicing up, speaking up. Before I even got to this point, like, man, there was days that I couldn't even get out of bed. I did not want to deal with things, and people don't know this, but that's why we're here, right? I hope my story can relate without sharing the mess. But especially when you come to places like this, let me talk about the diaspora, for example. It's hard connecting with people here sometimes because there's a lot to deal with. Some are in school, some are in churches, some are at work all the time. There's addiction, there's substances, there's relationships, there's legal stuff. Like, you gotta learn how to balance that. But if you falter a little bit, like, you get stuck in that. And I guess for me, what I'm trying to drive, the point I'm driving home is how I figured those patterns, and I tried getting those patterns and paradigms and all those concepts to be able to flip them and start thinking in this new mindset that I'm talking about, the transformation. Transformation is possible, with hope, faith, courage, brave, all these word of the days right there. That's how I did, okay? So wherever you watch from, if you watch right now, you watch in the past, in the future, we don't know. I believe in all those timelines and stuff like that. But anyway, surviving to becoming. So I know I talk a lot about this path that I'm on, being a peer counselor, being a mental health advocate, being a recovery coach, being a social service specialist, being a community ambassador, being a behavioral health and community, I had to make so many choices. Do I want to make the right choice or do I want to make the wrong choice? I had to make that change. Like, sometimes people, we can talk, we can sit here, but if you don't do the work, show up. If it's a job, show up. If it's an appointment, show up. If you really want a resource, because everybody is full of resources. You go down that street right now, you talk to anybody, whether it's in the shop or wherever you are. Your friend, your family, everybody, you are resourceful. Everybody is resourceful. But in order for you to realize that, you have to realize those patterns. Like, I need to share out these patterns. For me, the biggest one was being stuck, like doing the same old thing. It's like when you go in a revolving door. Like, I know this is gonna lead to this, but I keep going round. But I had to realize one day this revolving door, and with time it's gonna end. So I have to get out. And as soon as I got out, I was like, I'm not looking back to that. So what this has taught me is that I don't have to erase my past, right? I don't have to erase my past. That is what, even if I go anywhere, you can take the boy out of the village, but you cannot take the village out of you. I'll say that again. You can take the boy out of the village, but you cannot take the village out of the boy. What I'm saying is, you have to remember where you come from. These experiences that we go through, whether it's grieving, trauma, depression, alcoholism, being locked up, relationship, all that stuff, troubles, toxicity, everything. These experiences should make you stronger. If you start looking at it from that mindset, that should make you stronger, And if so many people can realize that it's so easy to flip, like, when you light up, your mindset in that sense, it's so easy to start looking at that. But a lot of people, they want to codepend on themselves and others. And then it's the environments, I call this peer support, but there's also peer pressure. It's the environments that really put us there. So if you look at the people you hang around with, I'm not here again, disclaimer, I'm not judging and hating on people. What are you doing? Are these people, you sit on a table, like, are you elevating? What are you bringing to the plate, to the table in that culture? Because that's a cultural thing right there. It's not just friends, it's not just groups, it can be anything. What are you bringing to the table? Are you the solution? Are you the problem? What is going on here? How are you relating with those people? So when I think about that, I look at the experiences, those kind of experiences and environments that we put ourselves, it comes with a lot. This life, man, this life comes with, for me, I used to think about myself. That was the self-ego. But with life, when you live life like this, You become an ambassador to everybody, service to others. Don't forget about yourself. You gotta self-care yourself. So this is some of the coping mechanisms I use, self-caring and stuff like that. It can be anything. Right now, me doing this, for me, it's self-soothing. It's, I really look at this and I say, hey man, I can do something positive. This is what I'm gonna do, and it helps me. So with that said, one of my biggest things that I've learned, I learned that was that I started moving and becoming differently when I started putting people, like what I'm saying, this job or my job, my life, my purpose is, putting people in front of myself. And that's what I call service. It gave me a purpose, and that's why I'm able to relate back to my recovery and all that. So the connection that gives me, it gave me perspective. That's why I believe in, like, how Barack Obama said, man, yes we can, yes I can, yes you can. Proud of you, yes we can. If we all supported each other, that's what I would spread, And it's not because everything is easy. Whoa, life is not easy. But you can make it easy. Life is not complicated. We all make it complicated for ourselves. But also, because our circumstances, honestly, don't have to be the end of our story. Okay? So, if I can ask you, if you visualize, that's how I look at it. Like, how do I visualize myself? I look at the past, and I look at the present right now, and I look at the future. That's a timeline right there, past, present, and the future. As long as I'm existing, right, how do I visualize myself? That's the kind of thoughts I get every time I'm out in the street. I'm driving, I'm at home, I'm sleeping, I'm at work, I'm everywhere, I'm in church. That's how I look at it, I visualize that. And like I was saying, people talk a lot about healing, but sometimes they forget to ask themselves the question, what am I becoming? Who am I becoming? Why am I becoming that? Like, what am I going for there, And I do ask also another question to myself, like, what's one thing I can do today, right now, today and tomorrow? And I look at it from that sense of mind, So, having said that, sorry, the music is too loud. I look at the relationships I'm having. How are they affecting my mental health? I look at my mental wellness, my family, work, my finances. These are things I look at. How are they benefiting my purpose as long as I'm here in this earth or what? How am I living that way? In order to achieve that confidence in knowing that I'm going to get my purpose, I also look at, people don't understand boundaries, man. You can make unethical boundaries and ethical boundaries, man. So sometimes when you're doing self-care, people may call you selfish. And then it's all drama and toxicity. But that's not the case for me. Like, you have to make proper set boundaries with people, and people need to realize that. Just because your friend is not calling you or your family or whatever, but also realize that everybody in this world, 6 billion people now, I think it's 10 billion. I don't know how many billion, but last time I was in school, it was 6 billion. Everybody's going through something. So how do you create those healthy, not just boundaries, healthy boundaries with people? I feel like there's a lot to talk. And like, if you falter, when you make that mistake, for me, it was more of the self-esteem. Like, I would get low self-esteem, like, man, I did all this work only for me to falter. Sometimes other people or the systems, they faltered me, and I'll be like, I'm rebellious. That I understand. But there was times when, like, for example, like, let's say I struggle with alcohol. I relapsed so many times. Like, for me, my success was, I'm relapsing, but what am I learning into that? Until to a point where I said, okay, I've learned this time, I learned this. I tell people I relapsed like 14 times. When I realized I was in recovery, I was like, dang, like, I'm in recovery right now, like, huh? And people ask me, like, what is your sober date? I don't have a sober date. I just say, and I'm not here to preach to you about alcohol is bad or whatever. That's your life. Again, I'm not here to fix everybody, disclaimer. But at the same time, what I'm here to tell you is, like, my point I'm driving home is, if you falter, for you, when you falter, what do you do? Where do you go to? That's where the resilience, you remember the resilience we was talking about? That's when you falter, how is that resilience come up? How do you go at that? It can be a small thing that you do, a song, a prayer, meditation, grounding. I don't know, man, but how do you start over? I guess that's what I'm going with this. Yeah, let me ask that. How do you start over from that? So, I look at it in a sense that, like let's say, let me give an example. Like when I got locked up and I got out, I had to start over. Everything I knew was different. Like those couple of years I was out there, everything was so different, man. Like I came out, I couldn't even tell you north or south or whatever. Like people, people outgrew me, I outgrew people, but the mindset I have, sometimes I go and I sit with people and I'm like, man, we are not even on the same mindset. Not because I'm egoistic or anything like that. It's just they're like, man, like the conversation I'm having, is it an intellectual conversation or what conversation? What is this leading to? How is it making me grow as a person? Or what am I bringing to them? Are they growing or am I bringing negativity? And I've been on both sides, positive and negative, So, like I said, people know me, you know my story, or maybe you don't, but if you didn't know my story, that's what I'm talking about. When I was locked up, I met people in there. They say, oh, go to jail or prison or whatever to be there, and then they think you're going to be okay. There's a lot that goes on in there. You go there, that is a school of learning more crime. For me, I went there, I learned crime, and I'm like, what is all this? Thank God I never did most of that stuff because I realized, hey, I don't want to end up like this, so let me go out and let people know, hey, that's not a joke. How you relate with civilians too when you get out, like, patience and all that, like, it takes kindness, compassion, because you're no longer on the same mindset. You're institutionalized in a way, but at the same time, you're trying to adapt to them, so I guess that can relate with some people. But I also challenge those thoughts that tell me, can I change? I wish people can do that more often. So we call this Inspire Resilience, but for today's session, I call it Wellness Sundays Inspire Before We Expire. Why do I say that? Because this is kind of a reflection, a little bit touch up here and there. I'm trying out new stuff, but I have to figure out like what's my next right step. So I always ask for suggestions and stuff like that. And continuing, I want you to start thinking in that concept where how your experiences can actually practically, hypothetically, whatever you want to call, rationalistically, justifically, how can your experiences make meaning for you? What can you connect with instead of carrying everything like Atlas? If you went to school, the history, you read about Atlas. Atlas used to carry the whole world in his shoulders, right? Yeah, you gotta breathe. You can be like Hakuna Matata, chill. However you cope with it, deal with it. That's how I would tell you can do that. So, also you have to look at your supports. What supports are you getting? Are you getting natural support? Your families? Those can be family, friends, your church, family, faith. Your recovery people, and when I say recovery, it's not just alcohol. There is mental health recovery, awareness out there. There is grief, there is depression, there is recovery is a lot. You are good, you don't even drink, but you went and fell down the stairs and you went to the hospital, and then you broke your leg, so now you're at home recovering your leg. So when I say recovery, a lot of people think, oh, alcohol. It's not just substance. Alcohol is just another regular substance, It's how you cope with it, If it's not bothering you, you are okay, you good, that's where you are, good day for you. But for me, I just use that as an example because me, But recovery, like I said, it covers 8 dimensions of well-being. It can be emotional, mental, social, even some relationships you have to recover from. Breakups, that's another recovery, But your community supports. What is your community supports? Are you looking for resources? It's one thing to say, hey, I'm struggling, I'm going through this, I need to recover. This is why I have a platform like this. Ask me for resources. If you voice up, I don't know what you're going through. There's people out here. Me, I had to speak up. Same justice system, I had to go back and say, I need the resources for this and that and this and that and da. But I also look at it in the sense that, are you speaking up? Are you asking for help? Because a lot of people have shame. Man, you gotta go past that shame. You cannot sit there all day. Life is gonna end when you're still shameful. And you're like, I'm not bashing you, but I'm just saying, for me, I was ashamed of a lot of things. But I had to go and seek for help. Now, when you get a resource, what are you doing with that resource? Are you showing up for that? Are you researching it? Are you going there to find it? Because that's how I find out that what I do is, and that's how I am able to do these things, And then, are you showing up? If it's a group you want to go for it. If it's a class, if it's what, If it's somebody, talk to them. So those are your community. If you want therapy, go. There's a lot of treatment agencies here. You can go and they are so confidential if that's what you need. For people who have experienced death and all that stuff, like you can go and form a grief support group for each other, whoever you know, as parents, as kids, as friends, as schoolmates, as co-workers. It's how, you know, like my church, we do Jumuiyas. Jumuiya is like a spiritual support group. We also have like a young adults where I thrive in that. You know, I feel like, oh, these are my people, I can relate. That's why I call it peer support, spiritual peer support. And are you looking at when you're looking at your purpose, also like to help you, what keeps you going? It can be music. For me, it's music, exercise, work, you know, boundaries again, healthy boundaries in your relationships, hope, praying, whatever works for you best. That's what I can tell you. But just in order for you to keep going. So if you are out there and you're in bed right now, and you're like, man, I am giving up on my life. Man, come on, man. I'm speaking to somebody out there. Like, you can. I've been there. I've done that. I still have some of my days. But it's how you keep going. So, you know, that's how I will look at it. I know I talk a lot. So, my bad if I go over. I want to say what? This is a story, not a story. This is how I look at it, like what I resonate with in life. When people talk to me, you know, I currently ask myself, like right now, what am I currently working through? Like right now, I'm working through a lot of stuff. So one of my purpose and goals is, I don't know, is how this message can reach a lot of people, you know. And I found that the strength I have is confidence for me. Like, how do I go in front of people and I talk this? Man, I'm an introvert by nature, so being here, like doing this, testing out, but this is a goal. So as long as I'm making a goal, it keeps me going. It's part of my recovery for me. I enjoy and I thrive doing this. So see, and I discover a lot of things that I thought I couldn't do. So the one area, I can ask this question, what one area of your life right now do you feel like you want to grow? Like, you know, for me, one area I want to grow is my education, man. Like, that's a goal I've always had. So, yeah, I want to go school, back to school, do all that. So, I don't know. Again, I got to pray about it. I got to show up. I got to try it out. I don't know, you know. But, yeah, so that's what I would come up with today, you know. So, I like this song, by the way. Yeah, man, I wish I could freestyle for you. But I don't know. But anyways, what are you going to do this week? What am I going to do this week? I don't know, man. I haven't done that far, but I want to be more connected. I want to be more connected to God, man. I feel like that's what, for me, would be the biggest thing this week. I feel more connected because I feel like sometimes it's hard to get lost from working to hanging out to do all that stuff. So I feel like I want to be connected more to God for me this week, but every week is different, you know. But anyways, yeah, so this is a new thing. I'm going to start doing this. So maybe, I don't know, man. If you see this and you like it, follow, share, subscribe. Tell me so that way I can improve it. Again, the stuff I do as I go is just stuff that I think out. You know, if I can do it differently, I wish I could. But I love doing this. So I'm always welcome to connect, partner, work with everybody. You know, like I said, remember, for you to change, you gotta have a choice, a chance, and through that chance you change. That's the 3 C's of life, right? But you gotta remember, because I'm about to go into my closing, you know, like we all have a story, you know. Some chapters hard, some chapters humble us, some chapters transform us, you know. But the chapters we are in today doesn't have to define us or be the final chapter. For real. I've learned personally, word of the day was resilience. I've learned that the resilience isn't pretending I wasn't hurt, it's recognizing those patterns and that I've been through something and asking for help and also empathizing with others. You tell me your story, I have to empathize and relate with it. You know, that's how we all support each other. That's a strength that I feel like I work all day, day out. But you know, I'm still human. Actually, I hate the word, but however, I'm still human. So you know, we all have those emotions. You know, I'm also thinking, or I always think, and I can challenge you to be like, what can I become from here? What do I get from this life that I'm living in? When I look at my life, so if you dropped right now, I asked you to chill out, reflect, and say, what would you need in your life right now to help you visualize the type of person I asked you about? When you see yourself tomorrow, you see yourself 1 hour from now, 2 hours from now, 1 day from now, 5 days from now, a week from now, a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What do you see? Is it positive? Is it negative? You know, I don't want you to answer. Just think about it, you know. And also, for you to create, connect, heal, transform, elevate, network, thrive, and inspire, right? You gotta remember that sometimes you as the person, or me as the person who needs this inspiration, becomes the person who inspires somebody in the future. So you can be a mother there with your kid and you tell them something and you hold space for them, and you find out that you inspire them, and that person also inspires somebody in the future. Your story is powerful, people. I tell my story because I don't know who it helps, but however you use it, that's up to you. That's my story, disclaimer. But try to inspire somebody today. Right? The goal is not perfection. The goal is just for us to have a growth mindset and a better future, and deal with what we have to deal with. Like they always say, one day at a time. I don't have to become my past to create my future. Okay, people, that's how I look at it. So recovery, like I said, is not linear, and my story just opens the door for you. But your stories is what keeps me going, okay? And when people call me or link up with me, they say, man, you said this and it really made me think, or helped me in this way, or just me giving a resource and letting you on your way. Share resources, people, you gotta do that. So that is what makes us, recovery is not linear. It's not as linear. By linear, I mean it's not a straight path, okay? So that's how I look at it, that's how I see it. So that's what I had for today through all those notes. Sorry I wrote all those notes because all this information I cannot remember it often. But what I can tell you is expect a miracle every day. Okay? Expect a miracle. Whatever you're going through, don't struggle by yourself, try to connect. Advocate, self-advocacy, and advocate for yourself, advocate for others, link up, call somebody. Sometimes also if somebody calls you and they're going through their stuff, and they hold space for them, just practice mindfulness and listening. That's how we reach that goal, self-actualization. As a community, we really need to be on the lookout for each other, because especially in the Kenyan diaspora, but also back at home, man, I know we are going through things, systems that people are struggling financially, politically, all that, religion-wise, everything. But let's try to hold space for each other, Like I said, my story opened the door. I hope if somebody listened to me, whether you are in the past, in the present, or in the future, whether you're out there in an alien spaceship, I don't know. I'm just being funny right now. But yeah. That's what I can give you today. I have a lot of stuff I can talk about. That's why sometimes I take notes. But yeah, expect a miracle. Do what makes you happy. All that stuff, it helps you a lot. It's really good to see people doing that, I like this song, by the way. I'm gonna play one song before I end this. It's called Happiness by SOL. So which brings me to my next thing I will talk about next time. Throw in suggestions, but I want to ask people, when you live out here, what is happiness for you? You exist. with happiness in order for you to succeed. Whatever success is for you, or however you are thriving, what is happiness for you? So that's why I play this song, you know. But yeah. But I really love you. Thank you for taking time to me. If you made it to the end of the video, that means I said something that helped you. But I'm gonna post it. I'm not even gonna edit it. That's up to you. I'm gonna be this. Oh yeah, that's why you gotta be your own unique person. You know, stand out from the crowd. But I love you. But I gotta go. Alright? Stay safe. Inspire before you expire. Follow, share, subscribe, talk about it, think about it, reflect about it. Go out and about. You gotta fight those demons and, you know, figure out how to stay positive and be of service to others. I love you.
And see my brother, and again, we hardly speak. These things matter because of what makes us more than just matter. Family's family, music, make us human. Laughter, happiness.